Hey everybody, it's your girl Sherry, and welcome back to Alleged Actually Podcast. Today is Monday, so you know what that means. It is Bravo Monday. So look, I know today we're supposed to be talking about Real Housewives of Orange County. However, if you'll bear with me today, we have got to talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac. Y'all, last night was the premiere, and it was everything. I was here for it. I was skeptical, but it's looking like we might actually get a decent season out of these ladies. So, not like I've forgotten my ladies of Orange County because we've got lots to discuss with them. So, join me on tomorrow as I drop my thoughts on the Real Housewives of Orange County. But on today, we're talking Real Housewives of Potomac. So let's flip flop on my plans. Sorry about that, guys, but sometimes you got to be a little flexible in these Bravo streets. So let me just say, I don't know what you guys thought about it. I thought it was a good first episode for the new season. You know, I, like many of us, were very skeptical about Potomac after we saw the travesty of that reunion on last season. Just a season within itself was one that I felt like was putting the future of Potomac in peril, just like New Jersey, just like New York at one time. You know, it seems to be this perpetual issue where, and oh God, and we can't forget Atlanta, right? We're still waiting to see what that Sweet 16 season's going to look like. I don't know. So much has happened over there. But they'll be coming to us fairly soon, so we'll find out. But Potomac was on that list of franchises or seasons, not free, yeah, franchises, if you will, that we just weren't sure how it's going to look. I don't know about you guys, but I was on the bandwagon with getting rid of Gizelle. Y'all, quiet as kept. I even signed a petition to get rid of Ma'am. And I want to Ashley gone too. Transparency, y'all. I did. I was totally disgusted at the behaviors of last season. It really was. And so here I am. I'm back because I'm going to give my ladies another chance. And I think that though we're here, just like with Orange County, unfortunately having to discuss the fallout of yet another DUI for a housewife, Karen Huger has received a DUI. And so, unfortunately, that's going to be probably the majority of the storylines with a few things here and there, because that's not it. We got Mia coming through and delivering as well. And the newcomers, I think I like them. I want you guys to weigh in and let me know what you think about the new cast members, the friends and friends of. The friends and the new housewives. So before we get into the recap, let's give the newbies some love. We have here Stacey Roosh. She had spent a lot of time prior to in Philadelphia. She was on QVC, and she was married to a German businessman, very wealthy German businessman, successful. But she is now back in the DMV area, and her and her daughter Arabella are back, and I think she's going to be a good addition. Now, you ask me why. I like her energy. She seems like a good balance. Though, and Karen Huger, y'all, was on Watch What Happens Live. Though Karen did say that she thought she was a good housewife, she mentioned that she was messy. Well, we haven't seen that just yet, but listen. All good housewives can pull it out when they need to. So apparently Stacey is no different, but she's coming in fresh. She's coming in with a nice balance, with some sense. And then we have Vivian. And Vivian, who is pictured to the left beside Stacey, is Karen's good friend. She is the boutique owner that we get into when they go dress shopping. Not sure what her role will be in this show. I'm believing friend of, maybe even only an appearance here and there. Maybe not even a strong friend of, but we do get to meet her in this episode. And then, of course, we have the returner, Jacqueline. And she was on last season, so I don't need to feature her. You guys remember her. She's Mia's sidekick, good friend for many years, the one that they kind of swap men and all that kind of stuff. And then we have Keiarna, who's coming back, and I'm really happy about that because I really felt like she deserved a do-over. She deserved to be a housewife after what she went through last season, honey. In that scene after the GNA fashion show, when Crazy Pants, Big Bird, as our no longer housewives at the moment, Candace had coined her, that they got into a brawl because of the incident between Candace and Ashley's dear friend, Big Bird. I don't even remember her name, y'all. It is totally irrelevant. But Keiarna is coming, and she's going to be a housewife. So she wasn't featured in this premiere episode, but she is a part of the cast. And so we're going to get to see more of her, which is great. So, y'all, let's not belabor it. Let's get on into this recap. So it starts off, y'all, with the reenactment of Karen's accident that resulted from her DUI arrest. How I felt about that, it was dramatic. It certainly set the tone. I know that when Karen was on Watch What Happens Live, it was the first time that she saw it, and it was triggering for her. And she said it was eerily pretty much on brand. I mean, on point. That's a lot like what had happened minus the deer. So it was kind of triggering for her, I can imagine. And from there, we find out that it's a month later. So, y'all, here we go. I mean, she had just faced this DUI, and the difference between her and Shannon is this is Karen's second DUI, y'all. So that adds an extra layer there because having two is more serious. And yeah, so Karen's going to have some legal stuff ahead of her. She's currently still fighting it. Like I said, she was on Watch What Happens Live, and she's still in the midst of it. So there's a lot that she can't say, but that's how we open up. And like I said, a month has passed, and Gizelle is on her way over to Karen's because since this all has happened, Karen has kind of been locked away, not really getting out. I mean, y'all, how can she? I mean, I think once you get a DUI, they take your license, so she can't drive. And I'm sure the embarrassment of it and all of that comes with it, she's just kind of staying at the home. So Gizelle's mission is to come and bust her out, get her out, and on her way over to Karen's house, Gizelle is on the phone with Ashley. Now, listen, this is so petty, so y'all forgive me, but y'all, is it just me, or did you guys wonder why does Gizelle not have hands-free dialing in her G-Wagon? She had the phone in her hand, you know, holding it, talking to, and honey, maybe that's the thing they have to do for production so we can know that she was talking to Ashley, but it was clear when we heard Ashley's voice who she was talking to, so I'm just like, ma'am, get hands-free, it's safer. I mean, we're talking about accidents here. I mean, DUI nonetheless, but it's not safe to drive with the phone in your hand while you're trying to pay attention. Child, neither here nor there. So, basically, they're talking about it, and you know, Ashley chimes in and says, "Look, this is her second offense. I cannot imagine that. You know, this got to be terrifying for her." And Gizelle is going to get her out because she says that her and Karen have been friends for a very long time, and she cares about her and she loves her. Y'all, you got to help me here. So you got to weigh in. I got to hear from my actualizers out there, or for those that are new and just watching with me, you got to let me know. Are y'all buying Gizelle's new compassionate, caring friend? I mean, she definitely seems softer, but I mean, let's be clear. She does not have the other half of the Green Eye Bandit with her. Miss I Don't Care, Miss Bad Attitude, Robin Dixon is gone, thankfully. And, you know, look, Gizelle is out there. She's got Ashley, but she mentions her father's passing and learning now that life is short and to give others more empathy and compassion. I hope that's the case. She comes in softer, but it's still messy, and we'll get to that. But are y'all buying the new Gizelle? Do you really think she cares about Karen, or is this more of the same of what we're seeing in Orange County? Now, I will say this, and we're going to get through the recap, but I will give these ladies at least some decorum that the majority of them had enough respect for Karen that they just didn't come at her the same way. She wasn't getting what they were giving Shannon over at Potomac. Let me be clear. There's a big difference between Shannon Bedore and the Grand Dame, honey, because she's not here about it. And so, at any rate, Gizelle and Ashley are still talking. And Gizelle, just like, when she first heard about it, she was first, in shock. And then when she thought about the fact that she could have lost Karen, with Karen totaling her car, she was shook by it. And so they go on to list all of the charges that Karen's facing, which are driving while impaired with alcohol, driving with wanton and willful disrespect for safety of persons and property, driving on highway with suspended registration, driving vehicle in excess of a reasonable and prudent speed on highway, negligent driving vehicle in a careless and imprudent manner, and endangering property, life, and person, and failure to control speed on highway to avoid collision. So, again, Gizelle stating that, look, this is my longtime friend and I'm going to be here for her, whatever she needs. And so at this point, we go over to confessional to Dr. Wendy, because everyone is kind of given their response to what has happened. And Dr. Wendy said her first thoughts when she heard about it was Karen okay? And I thought, thank you. Thank you. Because some of these women, they all have different relationships. I know that. And some of them aren't true friends, but some of them are. But look, let's just say they're coworkers. At this point, you would want to think that these people are human enough to care about each other. So she does say look, I was first in the space of, is she okay? And then her next reaction was shock, because she just didn't think that, Karen would do something that irresponsible. We go over to Mia, and Mia says, look, you can do whatever you want to yourself, but don't endanger society. And she's like, look, you're Karen Huger. Call a car. And, I get it. That is everyone's thought afterwards. I don't know, because we don't know what all the circumstances were behind that night. What prompted her to make that very not so smart decision to get behind the wheel with drinking, y'all. It is never okay. And she really could have hurt herself, killed someone else. It's serious. And then with it being Karen's second DUI, I think that she definitely is going to need to do the work on herself. But I think that you're not going to see from Karen, again, what you see from Shannon Bedore. And even with Shannon is more of, in my opinion, this is my opinion. I mean, two situations, we don't have to compare them because they both got DUIs. But Andy does ask Karen, on Watch What Happens Live, if she and Shannon had spoke about it, or if she lended, some support. And Karen's aloof anyway, so you're not going to get but what Karen wants to give. Karen is going to keep it, she's going to take care of herself regardless as far as her image and what she's willing to give us, right? But we're very used to that from the Grand Dame. But she does say that she reached out to Shannon to give her support to make sure she was okay, and she never heard back. Now, there's that tea. So anyway, they go over to Ashley. Why, I don't know. But we have to hear from everybody in confessional. And Ashley said that, seeing as how she's had a DUI before, She never thought that Karen would be a repeat offender with something like this. And she said she never thought she'd put herself in that situation again. And then Gizelle said, I just can't have anything happen to Karen because who would I yell at? Okay. So, y'all, by now, Gizelle is pulled up in front of Karen's house and she goes to the door. Ray escorts Karen to the door and she tells Ray that she's going to be driving as Karen. And so Karen and her get into the vehicle and they both have on these cute little denim tube tops. First, let me say this. Yeah, we are seeing a thinner Gizelle. Not to be superficial or anything, but I do notice from season to season how the ladies are looking. She looks like she might have jumped on the Ozempic train. Again, child, listen, if people think that I'm coming for them in a negative manner, I am not, honey, because I was on Ozempic till my insurance says no more. I am currently on Wegovy. And listen, I stand by it, so I am not mad at anybody. I take it. So there's that. But it does kind of look like she slimmed down, whether it's that, honey, or working out. She does look slimmer. I'll give Gizelle, she looks good. And so does Karen. Karen looks good. And Karen is about to be 61 years old, y'all. There's also the discussion about Karen's face. Now, it is no secret that Karen's had some work done. I had a lot of people that were, chopping it up in the Bravo fan groups I'm in on social media saying what was up with Karen not being able to close her eyes all the way. Child, my assessment is because she's had so much work in Botox, it's tight. So as much as her eyes can go, is about right here. And she gives it to you. She's got the lips going on. She's definitely got the facelift and she's definitely got the Botox going. And then she's struggling with getting them eyes all the way down. But you get what she's trying to give. Okay. At any rate, Gizelle and her are on their way to have lunch or brunch, I would say, because they do eat breakfast. And she does tell Karen, hey, we're not going to go by the crash site because she's like, I imagine maybe that's triggering for you. And she was like, is it? Can you drive by the site? And Karen was like, no. And she says, but I'm not feeling triggered. I'm feeling blessed. Listen, Karen's just not going to give them what they want from her. She's not going to let them see her sweat. That's Karen Huger, y'all. Watch what I say. We're going to watch it all season. I just don't believe as much as they dig and try and twist, they're just not going to get what they're trying to get out of Karen. I mean, who's to say, behind closed doors, I know she cries. I mean, I'm sure she's embarrassed. I'm sure she's going through a lot, but I don't think you're going to get it on camera, baby. Not more than what she wants to give. Now, that's Sherry's opinion. You guys weigh in and let me know what you think. So, child, while they are driving, two deers come out of nowhere. And listen, looks like they could almost have gotten into a little accident on the way up. And so Gizelle's like, let's just take that as a sign. So Karen in confessional states that since the accident, she's had a whole lot of time to reflect. And while she can't talk about the case in detail because it's not been adjudicated yet, she will say she will say that her injuries, thank God, were not life-threatening. They were her ribs and her ankle. And she says she now knows the value of life more than ever, thank God. Okay? So that's her giving us, some self-reflection and the fact that she's thankful to be alive. So she acknowledges that it could have gone the other way. And they pulled up at the restaurant. They come into one of these restaurants. It's called the Tally Ho restaurant that Karen obviously frequents. And they go in and Andres, the manager, greets them and basically says, he already knows what Karen wants. So Karen's just like, you got me. And he's like, a Karen Huger special. Gizelle wants to know what that is. Child, that is scrambled eggs, bacon, and French toast. And that is what they get. So Karen lets her know this feels good. It feels good to be out. And Gizelle's like, I'm glad. And she says, I think, I took you out here. I know you need to get out, but we need to have a real conversation. And did y'all the whole time catch the way Karen was looking at her like she knew it was coming, child, but she was just giving her the look like, girl. And anyway, she starts off with saying once she saw what happened, she couldn't imagine what if something had happened, to Karen, just how shook she was. And Gizelle says she knows her enough to know that she doesn't do stupid stuff. And Karen says, I don't. And Gizelle says, when I saw all the citations with the DUI and the DWI, and y'all, again, weigh in and correct me if I'm wrong. I thought 1 and 2 were the same, but Giselle's acting like she got 2 different things, a DUI and a DWI. I thought like one is driving under the influence and one is driving while impaired, but okay. And she said it's not like Karen. It was uncharacteristic of the Karen that she knows. And Karen was just like, girl, it's a legal matter. She says, but I will say this, that you do know your friend, meaning that Gizelle does know her. And she said, what's going on with that? Oh, she says, but, I can't wait for the truth to come out. So Karen is letting her know, look, you know me. I don't do stupid stuff. So like when I can say something, I can't wait for the truth to come out. I have my thoughts on that too, but we'll get there. Gizelle asked, well, what's going on with that? Are you going to court? Have you already gone to court? And Karen says, you can read. And then she said, I thought you knew better than that. I'll talk about it when I can. Check that, Gizelle. Listen, you're not going to get her. You're not going to rile her, baby. Not the grand dame. She told you, girl, bye. It's public record. When someone gets arrested, you can Google it. You can find all that. You can even find their court dates. So Karen's basically like, girl, what you're not going to do is get me on this good TV show and try to think you're going to break me and make me break what I need to say that I shouldn't, that I'm bound not to because of my attorney, or just have me out here looking crazy. That kind of stuff you can read. She's like, girl, you can read. Mm-hmm. So Giselle's like, okay, fine. And then she claims she's not out here being shady and messy. It's not that. She's just trying to be supportive. Okay, Giselle. I beg to differ. I think you're in these streets to be messy and shady. Well, since Gizelle got no joy there, she goes on to ask, how was Ray doing through all of this? And Karen says that they're going through a lot and that she can't blame him for any of it. So she doesn't. And she blames herself for not speaking up before now. She just needs him to be there emotionally, whatever he's capable of doing. She's just asking for emotional support. And Karen goes back in confessional and she talks about how she lost her parents within a 7-month time frame. And then how she's also had marital problems. And she says all of that was something to do with where she was emotionally right now and why she was in the state that she was during that incident. So, that leads us to believe that Karen hasn't properly grieved. Then, we had the issue with how they clowned Ray when he was going through his tax issues, some money stuff. She kind of held him down there and didn't disparage her husband or, give the ladies what they wanted there. Because you remember when her and the green-eyed bandit Robin came out with the shirts, they were just nasty. And that's just who they are, girls, guys, all my actualizers and those that are watching with, that's just who she is, right? But I do think that it's fair to say, look, we love this show for entertainment, but they are human beings. And I cannot imagine your mother and your father gone in less than a year. The scrutiny of your husband and his business dealings and all of that, the uncertainty of your financial situation, and then you're in a group of women that are oh so messy and that seem to champion people's downfalls. That's not easy. Though, to say, I'm not saying that an excuse is excusing what happened, but I do say it helps us understand her mindset when it all happens. And so she's also says that, look, I held Ray down when he was going through what he was going through. And we kind of allude to that with the whole tax thing and the money. And she said, but I never really took care of myself. And Gizelle says, what's so funny is that you always look like you take care of yourself. Like through the years, no matter what you're going through, you always look together. And when she said that, I don't know if y'all caught that, but did you just kind of see the pain that was in Karen's face? I mean, Karen is good at putting on a front, a facade. I think that's her defense mechanism. I think that's the way she protects herself. So there's that. But you know what? The camera did that was shady, because when she said, like, you always look together, then the camera pans to her nails, her fingers that were bandaged up with Band-Aids, not perfectly manicured and all that. And there was somebody that actually in one of the Bravo fan chats that I'm in that actually brought that up, like, oh God, what's up with Karen's hands? Her nails looked awful. I'm thinking, y'all, come on. Give her a break. First of all, she's been inside. She's been inside for the month or so since it all happened. And then, I mean, humans, guys, human beings. All right. So then the manager brings him a donut, and Janelle's like, how do we get a donut? And he says that she's one of his most amazing customers. This is Andres, the manager of the restaurant. And he wants to let her know that she's never had a drink, not here. And he's like, ever, not in this establishment. And she's like, well, sir, you don't serve alcohol. And he was like, look behind you. And the ladies behind them are enjoying some mimosas and some wine. So he's like, yeah, we do sell it, but Karen isn't drinking it. Okay, good move, Karen. Giselle's like, now that was planned. Karen brought her there so this man could tell her that she's out here and never had a drink in this restaurant. Not ever, 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 ever. Gizelle even said that she's probably even paid him off. Messy. So, on another note, Gizelle lets her know that she's planning a lunch for her birthday. Like I said, the Grand Dame is turning 61. And I got to give Karen props. She looks amazing. She does. And so Karen wants to know, all right, cool. She says it kind of hesitantly. I don't know if y'all caught that, T. But she's like, okay, so who we got coming? And she's like, Ashley's coming, Mia, Wendy, Jacqueline. And she said, I also thought it'd be cool for you to invite your friend Vivian. And Karen's like, cool. And she said, can I do an add-on and another add-on? And Gizelle said, of course. So Karen would also like to add to this group her friend Stacey. And we're going to get to meet Stacey. And so she goes on to say she's known Vivian for about 5 years. And she lets us know that she really likes Stacey. And Stacey she's a family girl. She has a daughter. She has a husband. And she worked for QVC. And she's moving back from Philly. So it's all good stuff. And Karen asked Gizelle, how are all the other girls doing? Because at this point, I guess none of them really have spoken to Karen, which I find to be a shame. But I don't know. Maybe Karen wasn't ready because, Karen does what Karen does, right? So she said that Ashley's good. Mia has been on a world vacation, and it flashes to all the pictures of her and Ink out celebrating life and the kids. And Gizelle says, what's her DJ's name? And Karen says, DJ Applebox. Y'all, was shady, honey. She was like, because he needs to stand on that box so he can meet Mia at her height. Child, listen. Dr. Ink is a little height challenge. That is true. Mia's a tall girl, though. She's a tall girl. And she says that he needs that box so that he can just, match her height. And then Giselle's like, yeah, because, when we see him out on social media, on those pictures, Mia's always standing behind him. So it would appear that, he's not that short. You know, the little camera tricks you can do so that if you have a height challenged man, you can give him that space to make him look taller. That doesn't make you look like you tower over him. Child, that was a shady, shady moment. But Gizelle says, look, she looks happy, but it does seem like she's been moving pretty fast. And Karen says she's just concerned for the babies, and I just want to make sure the babies were good. And Gizelle agrees. So now, y'all, we go on over to Mia and Gordon, and they are taking the little kids to get ice cream, the two kids. And they let us know, or Mia lets us know in confessional, that her and Gordon are separated, but they're co-parenting. And then they flash back to that fiery fight where Gordon lashes out about Mia's affair and Ink alleging that their son Jeremiah was his. Y'all, can I talk about that for a minute? I still can't believe that he did that. And I know that he explained in the reunion he was in the midst of a bipolar meltdown, and it's just wrong on so many accounts. The fact that they are even discussing that, and that child, like I said, I don't know how old Jeremiah is, but he's certainly of age enough that as his stuff hits social media, and it already has, that he can get teased at school. Those are questions he's going to have. God, it's just wrong on all levels, y'all. It makes me sick. And then the fact that when we get in this first season, here comes Gordon bringing it up again. Now, look, I don't doubt you can truly see that, this is not acting. Gordon is really upset, really hurt by all of this. Mia's coming across heartless to me. I mean, it's just giving, I don't know, it's giving insensitive on a level that to me seems off-putting and strange. So anyway, Mia lets us know that Gordon's moved into her building, which she thinks is great for the kids. But when it comes to her trying to do her sneaky links, they're not so sneaky anymore. I don't think Mia is thinking again. It's not like she has infants that can't see, that can't deduct what's going on here. I mean, we even see in a flashback how Gordon says it's the kids that let them know that mommy's sleeping with Mr. Ink. Y'all, this is so irresponsible. I mean, really, if a marriage doesn't work, and marriages sometimes don't, you still have to watch out for your kids. They don't need to be involved in all that mess. I'm turned off by that now. We get to the point where they kind of talk to me about that and confront her on some of that. But listen, I don't agree with Gizelle much. Karen, I think, I am a fan of Karen Huger, but, I think maybe the way they came at her when we get there. But it certainly is something that I would, if it was one of my girlfriends or somebody in my girl group, that's something that I would certainly want to ask them about. Like, you didn't think about your babies? I mean, this can affect them, once it's all said and done and the storyline's gone. This is real life for them. I just find it very distasteful, just wrong on all levels. But anyway, so they excuse the kids to go play so they can talk one-on-one. And Gordon says that he's glad they finally figured out something that works for both of them. And Mia says, yep, she's glad they're in a good place. And she doesn't know how he feels, but she feels like she did everything she could in the marriage. Mia. Okay. And Gordon said, well, that's your perspective. And so Mia's like, well, you don't think I did everything I could in the marriage? No, ma'am, I don't think so either. Do y'all think so? Weigh in. No, you didn't. Girl, there's a right and wrong way. There is. If you were unhappy, you go ahead and you separate and you go do you get it done where it's clean and not messy and not gray. You don't go and start whole relationships and involve your kids with another man when, girlfriend. So Mia asked him, what don't you think? He was saying, she was like, well, what do you think I didn't do? And he said, I don't think you took the last step. And so she's like, well, what is the last step? And he said, you should have just been separated and not run into someone else's arms. And she's like, so you think that that's what I did? And he said, absolutely, that's what you did. And he said, look, I get it. I was mean to you. And that's something that, he obviously regrets. Then Mia just tries to bring it back together. And she says, I think that we just need to focus on co-parenting. But y'all, Gordon's not having it. He said he's just having a hard time with Ink and being around. And y'all, that's understandable. And she's like, I understand you don't want Jeremiah to go get a haircut with anybody. And he was like, no, don't do that. I didn't say not anybody. He doesn't want him to go get a haircut with Ink. And she lets him know Ink is not trying to replace him. But, and y'all, wasn't this foolish? She was like, he's not trying to replace you, but he is coming in town this weekend. And the one thing that he wants is to get that paternity test. So wait a minute. You're not trying to replace him, but you want to get a test to see if his son is now your son? Mia? That doesn't make sense. Anywho, they flash back to the reunion when Andy asks, why does Ink think that Jeremiah is his son? And Mia says she was on IUD. Then she came off, so she knew that Gordon was the father, but Ink thinks that he's the father because of the timeline of the affair. Gordon says that he's 100% sure that Jeremiah is his. And Mia said, look, you're the one that told the world that I didn't know who the father of my son was. And Mia said, you started it. And he said, so she said, he started something now that you need to finish it. And Gordon asked, does Mia think it's a possibility that Jeremiah is not his? And Mia says it actually is a possibility. Y'all, that's some scandalous stuff right there. I mean, surely it gives us lots to talk about over here. Me and all of those of us that talk about these reality shows. But, man, I just feel so sorry for that little boy. It just, and for the little girl, that's her brother. I mean, it's just confusing. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I don't think that it should be up for discussion as a storyline. That's your private family business. That's a child's at stake. That's got to be painful. Gordon is the father that he knows. Why would you do that? I don't know. And she says, you're not thinking that Jeremiah will grow up and say, who's my daddy? Simply because of what you put out there and trying to give you time. She said that Ink could try to give you time. And he's trying to, but legally he has a right to go to court and find out if he's the father. So y'all, let's unpack that for a second. I mean, she's right. I mean, Gordon and his anger that brought that out on the camera. She didn't, he did. She was very nonchalant about the affair and about her comminglings with Ink, which is what led to it. So I wouldn't say she's free and clear. She had a part in it. But in the same regard, once you put something out there like that, and I guess she's like, let's put a silence to even the thought or the question. Let's get that paternity test and let's know for sure. Y'all weigh in on the comments and let me know how you feel about that. All right, so we go over to Ashley. Ciao. Ashley in this divorce that's lasted for 325 years is going to her attorney's office, ciao. Woo, and we find out it's been 2 years. That seems like I said 325, and then been going through this. And Ashley admits she was dragging her feet before because she liked the way things were, but she's finally ready to proceed with her divorce. And she lets us know that she's ready to get in the driver's seat and test drive. In other words, she's ready to get out there. Now, we find out that we do know that she's on the same show that Shannon, Luann, I can't remember who else is on there, but they're looking for love. Ashley's on that same show. The same show that Shannon supposedly got blasted by the host of the show about being so nasty to everybody, child. But that's a whole nother subject for when we get to Orange County. So we get to see some scenes of her actually doing some dating and getting out there. I believe those are some snippets possibly from the show that's coming up on this dating show or finding love show for Shannon and the girls, to include Ashley. But so she's there and she's ready to talk to her attorney. And so her attorney let her know that they can get a mediation date, and they can usually do that by getting a retired judge to mediate. And she said, look, the main thing that she's looking for is to establish custody. And her attorney's like, we're going to do the best we can. And, we just hope that Michael is on board with what you're wanting. And she's like, oh, he will be. Girl, we'll see. We'll see. Michael has the money. So I don't know. All right, y'all, we go over to Dr. Wendy, and she's bringing things in from her office. She has finally made the decision that she's going to resign as being a professor. Now, this is something that when she first came on the scene, honey, Dr. Wendy was not playing about all her degrees. She's got a bachelor's, a few masters, and her doctorate in philosophy. She is Dr. Wendy, and she came in making sure she led with her education and her degrees, okay? But since then, Wendy is about to turn 40. She has evolved. She wants to spend more time with her children, and she has other things that she wants to pursue. So you got Happy Eddie there. He is so cute, y'all. I love her husband, Eddie. He is definitely happy, always smiling. But he's there to cheer on. She's bringing in stuff from her office, and she's basically ready to do that. But she is hesitant to share that information with her mother, because her mother was like, when she mentioned it before, was like, no, don't talk crazy. Keep your professor job. But she's made the decision, y'all, and she sits there and she types up the email to the dean, resigning as of the end of the month. Now, the thing is, what I thought was, child, you don't move stuff out your office and you haven't even officially resigned yet. Okay. At any rate, she definitely does that. And then her and Eddie go off and they're going to celebrate. So now we're going over to Karen. She's on her way to her friend Vivian's boutique. She said that her and Vivian have been friends forever. And they both have made a decision, like once they stop, their kids get of some age, that they were going to pursue other things in business. And her friend Vivian has done so by having a boutique in, I think she said it was in the mall. So yeah, she's got a boutique in their mall. And so Karen has come there looking for dresses in pink. And in on the scene, we see and now meet Stacey. And Stacey comes in, honey, in a vibrant floral dress coming through. She is beautiful. She looks like a model. I gave you guys a quick pic of her. She looks great. And so, like I said, Karen's looking for a dress in pink. And Stacey came in and let them know that she'd stopped by also to pick up a little something for a gala. And they let us know that they had met at an event, and she left Philly, and that's when she went to work for QVC. But she left Philly from where she used to work, because like I said, she was working for QVC. That's when she was in Philly, and she's come home. DMV is home for her. And they talk about the invitation that Stacey received for Karen's birthday lunch. And we see Gizelle's tacky invitation, where you have a cardboard Karen sitting beside her, and she has invited the ladies to a hatitude party. And you have the cutout of Karen with in all pink, with a pink wide brim hat on. Gizelle lets them know that if they get attitudes, you could wear a banana hat or a taco hat. It just looks silly, y'all. I mean, that's all that's given. So then they go on, and Karen lets Vivian know. She notices that Stacey is not wearing her ring, honey, because I guess apparently normally when Stacey has that ring, it is a whole statement. It was RHOP, and it is not there. So Vivian's like, she's fine. It's giving that Vivian may know, but she wants Stacey to be the one to tell Karen herself. And so Stacey lets us know that she was married 16 years, and she met her husband on a flight. He was basically like, is his seat taken? And it was sparks from there. He was a very successful German businessman, and she has a beautiful little girl named Arabella, and they showed that she is very, very cute. So Stacey finds the dress, and Stacey and Vivian cheers with champagne. Oh, I did not mention that when she came out with a dress that she had tried on, that's when they ask her. Vivian holds her hands and she lets them know that, yeah, they had been separated and now they're in the process of going through a divorce. And that's largely why she's back in the DMV area. So there's that. So Stacey finds the dress and it's time for them to cheers. And Stacey and Vivian have champagne. It appears Karen has water in her champagne fluke. And Stacey's like, oops, I'm so sorry. We weren't thinking. Is it okay? And, Karen kind of gives them the look like, it's fine. And she's like, no. She said, I can't drink right now because I'm on medication, but I will be having libations with you all soon. See, y'all, it comes right back to the thing with Shannon, and I guess Karen's going to face it too. They get the DUI, and then you have the friend group checking their glass to make sure they're not drinking. I don't know. Look, should she not drink? Probably not. This is Karen's second DUI, and she admits that she's going through some things, and maybe she needs to do that minus the alcohol, which clouds your judgment. But it just becomes a tough spot. It's hard enough that they have to talk about it, but then to be scrutinized anytime they want to take a drink, it's going to be a thing because, these shows are very drink-centric. They are. Every event, the alcohol's flowing. So here we go. But now we are back over to the venue where Gizelle is planning Karen's lunch. And Gizelle arrives at the venue. That's for Karen's birthday party. She brings that cardboard Karen, and she brings a bunch of hats. That each hat embodies each one of the women. And next to arrive is Nessie, aka Ashley. And she comes in with her shady gift basket, and she calls it the bounce back basket. And y'all, in that basket, she has for Gizelle a water bottle, some Uber cards, a little birdhouse that she can paint to get her mind off because she needs to focus on other things. Y'all, why? Listen, Gizelle seems to have softened up and she got the memo like, girl, if you come up here mean and nasty like you were before, as mean and disgustingly like you're Queen Bee, and you don't have to be bothered, we're going to show you the door on that next season. Ashley didn't seem to get the memo that the messiness is not cute anymore. But we'll keep watching. So Ashley says she doesn't know what mindset that Karen's in. And she asked Gizelle what they talked about. And Gizelle said that she did let her in on that there was a lot going on between her and Ray. And that she doesn't want to get into the weeds of that night. But she does have to do some court time. So Ashley asked, when is that coming up? Referring to the court date. And Gizelle let her know that Karen told her, honey, she can read it in the newspaper, read about it. And Ashley said, well, I prefer to get it from the source. But okay. So she does let Ashley know that she has invited Wendy. And she says now more than ever, she's about peace. We'll see, Gizelle. Jury's out because I sure don't believe it, but we'll see. And she talks about the passing of her father that was relatively unexpected. And she says that these days she is about more empathy and compassion. Again, we'll see. She says that even though her and Wendy are not in the best place, she hopes that things get better. And Gizelle lets her know that Mia is also coming and she's bringing a friend named Jassi. And Ashley's like, Jazzy, Jacqueline. She's like, no, Jacqueline is coming. This is Jassi. On cue, in comes Jacqueline, which is her friend also. And Jacqueline comes in and says she has some questions for Karen. Now, y'all, that's another thing. Jacqueline, ma'am, you just got on the scene. You are not a housewife. Check me if I'm wrong, y'all. I'm still thinking that Jacqueline is a friend, but she comes in with the smoke for Karen. I got questions, Anyway. But she says she's glad that Karen's okay. Next comes in Mia with her friend Jassi. And Wendy said they go over to confessional of Wendy, and she said that she doesn't feel like her invitation from Gizelle was an olive branch, but she does want to sit down and specifically talk about their relationship and how it got to that point. At this point, they're back in the party and they asked Jassi about herself. And she said she does live, because they asked, is she living here? Is she here? And she said, yes, she did live here, but she hadn't been there for years because she was an international flight attendant. So that led her to not be around much. But she said at this point, her and her man have found a house. And they ask her what her man does. And her man, y'all, is he plays for, his name is Darius Harris, and he plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. And they were like, oh, okay, they won a Super Bowl. She's like, no, baby, too. And Dr. Wendy asked her if she's ever gotten a chance to meet Taylor Swift. And she says that she has. And Dr. Wendy's like, me and you need to talk off screen, offline, because, I'm on that path to being a Swiftie. Gizelle asked Mia if she's talked to Karen, and she said, no, she hasn't. And Jacqueline says, but I have. And Mia says, well, that doesn't really count because you said that when you talked to her, she sounded drunk. Yeah, I have a problem with Jacqueline being the one to be the bone carrier on that. Karen addresses that. I have a little clip I'm going to share with you in a minute from her time on Watch What Happens Live last night. So we'll get there. Jacqueline said that Karen did seem a little tipsy on the phone. Dr. Wendy's like, child, I want no part of this. I feel you, Dr. Wendy. It's like, good gracious, here we are just starting, and here y'all go. That's damaging, because she is in the middle of a court case. For these ladies to say that she's still drinking or that it could have a negative effect on Wendy or on Karen's outcome. So again, so Jacqueline says, she doesn't know for sure, and that's why she shouldn't say it, y'all. And this is again what I said with the problem I have with them and their storylines, and them wanting to say, deflammatory things for camera time. Hence the Tamara Judge mess that we'll get into tomorrow. But, it seems to be a thing on these shows. Every woman is vying for her spot and for her camera time. And so with that being said, the messier they think, the better, no matter how it comes off. Now, Karen, at this point, she comes through. Her friends Vivian and Stacey precede her into the building they're in, and then Karen makes a late, fashionable appearance in all black with a black, bedazzly fringed cowboy hat. And Dr. Wendy said that, so she makes her entrance, she sits down. Dr. Wendy says that her and Stacey has met years ago when they were on the same board. And even though she doesn't really know her, she did like her positive energy and her vibe. So Gizelle mentions the drinks. Let's see. No. Okay. Yes. So at this point, everybody is seated. Y'all, I'm sorry, I have notes here. So I'm not skipping around. I'm just making sure I capture everything. So for those of you, if you didn't watch it, I don't think you should be on here for the spoilers. But if you're here and you just want to know what happened, see if it's something that you want to give another chance, I'm trying to give you guys as many of the points as I can here. So Gizelle mentions the drinks. They have 3 signature cocktails for Karen's party. The 61, the Surrey County, and the non-alcoholic choice called the Grand Dame. Now, isn't that shady, y'all? At any rate, Karen is like, oh, okay. And then she orders an iced tea. Good job, Karen. So Karen in confessional says Gizelle just simply can't help it, child. That she suffers from a disease and it's called the message disease. I agree. And Gizelle says Karen last time that she saw her, she was at one of their events. And Gizelle was talking to Stacey, so I'm jumping around. That was a moment of Karen in confessional, and now we're back at the table, and Gizelle is speaking to Stacey and saying that last time that she saw her, that Stacey was at one of their events, and Stacey says, yeah, that was years ago, that she had been in Philly now, but she lets them know when she was in Philly, that's when she was working for QVC, and Gizelle's like, so you're back now, and she's, yes, I am. And she let everyone know that she's happy and her baby is happy. And they asked about how old her daughter is. Her daughter is 8. And Stacey said, you know, the last time I actually saw you, Dr. Wendy, you were pregnant with your daughter. And that's when Dr. Wendy lets everybody know her daughter is now 5 and didn't like her hair. I did, though, y'all. I was living for Dr. Wendy's bob. Honey, I love a good bob anyway. So, little miss, I disagree. Your mom's bob, it was cute. She was rocking it. So now Gizelle explains to the ladies the theme of the party, which is attitude. And she says not to be confused with attitude, because if one of you ladies get an attitude, you're going to have to wear one of these dumb hats, which is the banana hat, the taco hat, and a construction hat. It's tacky, but that's Gizelle's thing, child. She can get tacky. But and on brand with the whole hat theme, she's had these hats individually made. Each one, like I said, embodies each woman. And so she starts off with the hat that she has made for Karen. This is her birthday, and that hat is called Hollywood. Karen seems to appreciate that. She puts on the hat, and she's rocking it. Next hat. Okay, before we get to that, Gizelle let Karen know that the ladies had some questions that they were asking her, meaning Gizelle, about Karen. But she was like, no. While we're all here, they can ask you. And Karen's like, yeah, by all means, if you have questions, ask me. And she wants to know who has questions. And for a little bit, honey, it was silent. Everybody was just kind of looking. And then the irrelevant Jacqueline speaks up. And she says that she's happy that Karen's okay and that nobody was hurt, no family was hurt, no child was killed. Now, y'all, you know, that was her throwing them jabs, that shade. It's like Jacqueline's trying to get her moment, y'all. Whatever the case may be, she said, no one saw what happened, so she doesn't feel like anyone should pass judgment. And Stacey says, you're right. Who are we to pass judgment? And Karen's like, child, I ain't worried about nobody passing judgment. She said, this is her thing. She knows that this is a hot topic. She knows that anything that she does gets amped up, meaning anything that Karen does, it's going to be out there for the public. It's going to be all over social media. It's going to be in the news. Just it is what it is. But she says it's out there. But what she most is concerned about is figuring out who are her real friends. And she said, because this is an opportunity for you ladies to swing whichever way you want to. She's trying to see who the real soldiers are for Karen Hugers, because she certainly does not want any fake bitches around. That's Karen's words. And she has spoken. And Mia in confessional said, Karen is quite the gangster of Potomac. But Karen's coming out not missing no words. Because see, unlike Shannon, and I know I keep comparing the two, but I can't help it. I mean, look at the seasons. Both of them are going to be surrounded by this, you know, the whole DUI scandal. The difference between her and Shannon is Karen's letting them know off top. Look, I'm not worried about how y'all feel, you know, as far as judging me or whatever. I'm just trying to see who's going to support me and who's looking to have a come up on my downfall, because my eyes are open. So Ashley asked Karen, can we ask what's the projected timeline? Meaning how long it's going to take for all of this to wrap up. And Karen says, as long as it takes for the wheels of justice to prevail. And so Ashley in confessional says, look, this is the same song and dance we get from Karen, talking about back when things were going on between the whole Ray thing and the taxes and the money. She kind of danced around that too, saying, look, it's a legal matter. I can't speak on it. But, sometimes, y'all, it just is. Okay. So if it is a legal matter, you can't be on national TV talking about it because what you say can be used against you. And actually, yes, you know that as much as Michael has been sued. So let's don't try it, sis. Okay. So anyway, she's like, Ashley back in confessional's like, well, look, I have to respect that because, Karen could be facing jail time. And y'all, that was another opportunity for her to sling some shade at Karen. Y'all gear up for this season, honey. It's going to be a lot of that. So Gizelle wants to keep the party moving, and she gives the next hat to Ashley. And that's because she gives her the cowgirl hat, and that's because Ashley took them to that ridiculous trip last season to Texas, child. And she said she had a plethora of cowgirl outfits, child, whatever. And then she asked Ashley, this is a good time for us to make this G&A announcement. And Ashley's like, sure. So she lets the ladies know that they're all invited to another G&A event, which is a G&A fusion event for their health and wellness products. And Dr. Wendy's like, child, please, because all the stuff that was on the runway from your G&A fashion show, not even on your website. So she's not quite sure what they're going to be fusing. That was some good shade, Dr. Wendy, because they talking about their stuff was a match between Lululemon and Rihanna's Fenty line. Child, no, it ain't. No, it ain't. No shade, because I'm a girl that loves to see women go into entrepreneurship, business ownership, owning your stuff and always doing the next thing, to improve yourself or whatever. But they're so nasty and love to shade everybody else. You could take that energy, ma'ams, and put it into your line. Because it ain't there yet. Okay. The next hat that she issued was for Mia, child. And that was the king hat. And that was because she said that Mia was pimping on two men. So I guess that was a kingpin hat. Hence the king. And, everybody's kind of looking. Stacey's kind of appalled because Stacey's trying to figure this group out, child. She's like, we're at a lunch and this is a lot. But Gizelle says that she's looking forward to meeting the DJ. And Mia corrects her and says he's a radio personality. Get it right. And Jacqueline pipes in and she says he's not a rapper. And that was her shade at Karen, because Karen had let everybody know that Mia was seeing a rapper behind Gordon's back. Turns out he wasn't a rapper, but he was definitely someone she was seeing. And he was Ink, who is the radio personality. And Gizelle asked the shady question, has she shared ink with Jacqueline? Okay, child. That's because, as you guys know, honey, her and Jacqueline have been known to share men in the bedroom. She would be with one and say, Jacqueline, you're my friend. I think you should try it. That trash bag stuff. We got trash bags over here at Potomac too. They're just not at OC and just not at, some of the other franchises. We have a residential one over here too. Miss Mia. So Mia's like, oh no, absolutely not. Ink does not play about me. And I'm thinking, girl, you was cool with your husband doing all kinds of stuff, Gordon, but now Ink is off limits and he's just, I don't even want to talk about it. Anyway, Stacey said these ladies have no boundaries and this is a lot for a hat party. I'm going to agree. Karen asked, when we're going to see G. Because Karen's still like, I hope you haven't thrown G away. I mean, and Mia's like, oh, yeah, you're going to see him. At this point, he's having to lean on me. And he's actually having to lean on me and Ink. And I thought, ooh, just wrong, Mia. And she gives the ladies an example, honey. She says, because, they're both in the same building, child. So whenever G had to go off and he left his dirty laundry, She washed it, ink helped her fold it, and then both of them happily went over to G's apartment and put it away. Girl, that's what I'm saying. Talk about messy and not taking care of business the right way, not properly given the time needed to separate, divorce, and before you introduce a man into your life, into your kid's life. This is what we're doing? Okay. Jacqueline pipes in and says that she thinks ink is really good for Mia, and she feels like her and G were more of a business partnership, which all the ladies are looking confused. And Gizelle asked, did you know it was a business partnership, Jacqueline? Jacqueline says, I think both of them knew that. And Stacey's like, okay. And she asks, well, how long were you married? And Mia tells her 11 years. And everybody agrees that's a long time for a business partnership. And Karen's not buying it. And she's like, okay, come on now. I'm not buying that. It was more than a business partnership. You actually gave birth. And Karen brings up that she feels a certain way about G. And that when G brought up to the world that her kids had been seen in bed with another man, her kids had seen her. I'm sorry, let me get that clear because that's two different things. She felt some type of way that he brought up that her kids had seen Mia in bed with another man. And they flashed back to the argument that Mia and Gordon had regarding that. And Karen says she cares for those kids, and the fact that her babies were plastered all over the news really bothered her. And Mia says, you don't think it bothered me, Karen? And she said she didn't plaster the babies all over the ground. That was their father. That was Gordon. And Karen is suggesting that it's still her fault. And Mia says that Karen's suggesting that it's her fault. And Mia's upset. And Gizelle pops in and says, but you didn't protect your kids at all cost. You didn't, Gizelle, because if you did, you wouldn't have mixed Ink and Gordon. Now, I rarely, and y'all, I do mean rarely, do I agree with Gizelle. But in this, I'm going to say I agree. Because what she meant is you should have gotten done with one. And when I say done, because, a divorce, they're still co-parenting and all that is fine. But she's trying to button it up real quick and say, no, we're past that. We're co-parenting is healthy. When, you got Gordon that's still dealing with his feelings of hurt. And you've got the kids that have been exposed to Ink while she was still openly married to their father, which is confusing and just wrong on all accounts. Guys, weigh in and let me know what you're thinking about that. At this point, y'all, Mia's getting upset and says, look, I don't know y'all don't know what I was going through. The only one that did was Jacqueline. And she's like, are you suggesting that I should have stayed in a marriage that was abusive? At this point, y'all, she's screaming because they're like, no, not that. And she's saying, look, don't say I'm not protecting my kids. And Gizelle was like, well, Gordon was hurt because you moved on. And Dr. Wendy does try to interject, y'all. And she says, y'all don't think this is heavy. Like, that's a lot, she's a mother. And Mia gets up and says, look, my kids are happy. They're doing academically well. They're involved in sports, traveling sports. They're well-rounded. They're doing good. And, my kids are great. And if you guys suggest that I'm not protecting my kids, at this point, y'all, she gets up. She goes to the bathroom with Jassi and Jacqueline in tow, honey. She tells producers not to follow her in that bathroom. Of course, she's still mic'd up and we hear her horribly crying. And Dr. Wendy says that, y'all, that was a lot. Y'all, and this is kind of where the episode ends. And so this was kind of a lengthy recap, but it was good. And I wanted to make sure I gave you guys all the points of what happened because, like I said, to me, it was a good first start, like I said, because I'm approaching Potomac with baby steps. Okay. I'll give you that. I thought it was a good premiere. I'll give you that I prefer this Gizelle over the filth nastiness that I saw last season. Do I trust it? No. Do I think we're seeing it because she wants to keep her job over here at Bravo? Yes. Am I still so annoyed that we have to look at Ashley for another season? Absolutely. And is Jacqueline on my list of ones I need to see go bye-bye? Mm-hmm. But we're just going to keep watching, y'all. Now, before we wrap this up, I did want y'all to just get a quick glimpse of Karen's spiel on how she took things with what she saw, because she had just seen the premiere right before she went on Watch What Happened Live. So this is about a minute. If you guys will bear with me, guys, stay till the end and watch this. I did want to share this with you if you didn't catch her on Watch What Happens Live. So just give me a second here. And I'm going to share my screen.
Did anything the women said on camera upset you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I care for these women, and all I wanted them to do was be patient and wait, because it's an ongoing case.
Yeah.
But, Ashley saying what she said, and let's be clear, Ashley needs to be concerned about her relationship with alcohol, the way she sucks down the Coronas. I'm just saying.
Okay.
And then, Jacqueline, I don't know Jacqueline like that, so I would never call a friend of. I would call Jassi. Okay. It's just very painful, and no one, again, it's still going on.
Are the legal issues behind you, or have they been settled?
That's what I'm saying. It's very painful. To listen to that.
Yeah.
And their accusations. Are you wishing me harm?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm hoping to win. When it all comes out, but I have to respect the law. But when I can speak about it, I plan to be open and transparent.
Did anything the women said on camera upset you?
Okay, guys. So, yeah, there's that. So we're just going to keep watching. You see on Watch What Happens Live, she was clearly shaken up and hurt by what she saw on this episode, with the way the ladies were kind of talking about her, and, her saying that she expects to win. I don't know. I'd like to hear her side of it. It doesn't look good. Usually DUIs, once they can get, I don't know if she was breathalyzed, but blood work or whatever, and prove that you were under the influence, those are hard to get out of. And they said in that episode, Maryland is one of those states that do not play. So we're just going to pray more so for Karen to have learned her lesson as far as making those kind of decisions. But just pray for her healing. I can't imagine the loss that she felt. And then, some of the other things that they're human, y'all. They're human. And that's all I have to say. But guys, you got to let me know, what did you think of the premiere of Real Housewives of Potomac? How did y'all rate it? I'm going to give it an 8. I thought it was pretty good. I'm going to keep tuning in, and you guys keep coming over here because we're going to be recapping it. Now, join me back tomorrow when I drop my video on Real Housewives of Orange County. We got to talk about that too, y'all. That was a good episode last Thursday, and we need to go ahead and chop it up about that too, y'all. Bravo is buzzing. We got New York, Salt Lake City. Lord, there's just not enough time in the day to recap them all. But y'all, I'm going to get up here, and I'm going to keep bringing you what I can. We definitely will be continuing OC. They're getting ready to wrap up anyway. I'm going to continue to recap New York on Thursdays. We will put Potomac in on Monday and OC on Tuesday until they wrap up. So you have to keep coming back. Now, before I go, and I've been up here long enough with you guys, but I do want to mention, please be on the lookout for my next interview. I just did another interview with another co-author of the book, Design Your Wealth Mindset, to add to our financial series, Design Your Wealth Mindset. Her name is Mrs. Brandy Gamble. She's coming with her area of expertise in being smarter with our money, some strategies to save, to grow and protect your income, and to get ready for retirement. And you won't want to miss it. It will be dropping this weekend. So I will be promoting that. You will see when and what time that'll drop. So you'll have to join us for that as well. Thank you guys, as always, for your support. We're still trying to reach our next goal of 5,000 subs. We're getting closer and closer, and that's all because of you. So thank you so much for those of you that have. If you haven't yet, guys, please go ahead and subscribe. And if you will, just give me the thumbs up, like this video, share your comments, let me know what you thought about the episode, and then share this with the friends, family, whomever. Share, share, share. All right, guys, I'm not going to hold you anymore. Thank you for tuning in. You guys have a great one. Bye-bye.